Hey, everybody. It's Ever New with Kris M. Smith, Hannah McCrane, and guests. Which Ever New is about living out loud, forging lasting connections, and visiting with effervescent thinkers and dreamers. It's an uplifting hour that promises to leave everyone feeling better. So, who's up for some fun? Welcome. Let's get this party started. Hi, Hannah.
Hey, Kris. How you doing?
I'm doing well. I mean, you and I are both doing well after rather scary beginnings to the week. You want to tell them what happened?
So I went to the doctor on Monday and he sent me to the hospital because
Yeah.
I couldn't, my jaw was locked and I couldn't open it farther than like an inch or so, if that. So that was an interesting time. We were in the hospital for about 7 to 8 hours for them to take a CT scan of my head and neck, only for them to be like, yeah, it's probably some kind of infection. Go see a dentist because we can't really, we can't really say anymore. So I asked them for shaved ice at one point, and they came back with ice logs. I couldn't get it in my mouth. I had to actually, it's like,
And they put an IV in because they always do in a hospital in case you
Well,
crash.
apparently I was supposed to get one a lot earlier.
Ah,
Yeah.
Well,
But
guess
it was Labor Day weekend, and the local university had just, it was their orientation weekend and moving in weekend, so there were a lot of people in for stupid reasons. A lot of people just being stupid.
Well, you want to know what's interesting is I was in the ER on the exact same day. I don't know if it was the exact same time, but I started getting like really lightheaded and not feeling well at all. So because it was Labor Day, I tried calling my regular doctor and they weren't open. So I called the nurse hotline, and of course they said, "Oh yeah, with your background, you really should get right into ER, but I don't want you to drive yourself. Don't drive yourself." And I'm like, "I feel okay. I just feel a little, no, don't drive yourself. You could pass out." So I called Lisa, who was fortunately available, and she came over and got me and brought me over there. And it turns out, this is too much information, folks. I had a urinary tract infection, which generally in older people does not manifest with pain or anything like that. You just start getting confused. You start feeling like weak need. Just all these little kind of niggling things that's like, this is not normal, and I'm feeling worse day by day, and I need to, get this checked out. And of course, it happened on Labor Day. So I ended up, in ER, and then, with a implant in my arm in case I crashed while they did a brain scan, and everything that happened to Hannah basically happened to me, although for different reasons. And we ended up all's well that ends well. And I just finished my course of antibiotics, and I'm feeling like 98% better. But listen here, if I mess up with words or whatever this week, it's still that. I'm still not quite there mentally. I don't know. It just feels still a little bit off.
We've all had those days.
I'm right there. So so just either chalk it up to crazy Kris or UTI still messing with my brain a little bit.
The great thing is I was so bored in the hospital room, which really wasn't too much of a hospital room. It was more like a closet that they put a bed in. I was so bored that I was like, maybe I'll, video chat with Kris and, catch up for a little bit. I don't think you would have answered.
I probably would not have answered. Of course, I was pretty bored too. Lisa stayed with me, though. At least I had somebody to talk to during that time. But yeah, it was pretty boring. And the doctors kept coming in, "Oh, you did Googleitis, didn't you? You went to Google and Googled your symptoms, didn't you?" And I said, "Well, yes, I did." She says, "Yeah, well, you have a classic urinary tract infection for older people, that it does exactly all of those things. And I know it can look like a stroke. It can look like an impending heart attack. It can look like any number of really scary things. And it can be, which is why you are here, for us to rule out all of those things." And then she sent me on my way and said, "Okay, take this 5-day course of antibiotics. And if you're not feeling better, you come back." Well, I'm feeling way, way better. So let's hit comments. Great. And then we'll go. Those were not exactly joy rides, but they were a fun way to explain not so joyous rides. Let's jump on to comments here. John Bowersocks. Hi, guys. Hi, John. Oh, no, that's horrible. Yeah, well, all's well that ends well.
Yep.
This is Helen. Helen is back in New Zealand and I miss her and she misses me. And it just, the awful thing about having a visit is it ends and then all of this anticipation that you've been expecting is gone. And you're like, now it's over. And you have memories and you have, a chance to plan again a future gathering. But like with you and like with Helen, who lives so far away, it's probably going to be a while. So
that's why we have video chat.
It's really bitty, right? Thank heaven for video chatting and stuff like that. Honestly, Kris, you fell to pieces the moment I left you. I should have stayed a bit longer. That's just what you needed. Yeah, that's what you needed. Just before all of us fell apart, we finally got into our homes. I know I'm a little late. Happy Star Trek Day. John, did you hear about what happened on Star Trek Day? Because if you didn't, you are about to. Janet Wicks in UK. Janet, I want to extend our condolences on the loss of your queen. That was, I have never known another queen. I'm 71. She was on the throne for 70 years and such a delightful, respectable person. I'm just really, really sad. What I did see though, just yesterday was because she passed away on Star Trek Day, somebody put her in an I think it was a Next Generation costume, superimposed a Next Generation costume on, because she was very, very, I don't want to say liberal, but she was, a supporter of LGBTQ, and she was a very loving person. She embraced pretty much everybody, so, and even when she did snarky things, she did it with such class. So it was pretty, it's a loss for the whole world. Not just for UK.
We were watching the coronation online earlier today, and they were saying "God save the king," and I was like, "That's so weird." Yeah, it just it sounds so weird.
Yep. Our Russian friend Tina.
Hi, Tina.
Hi, Tina. I just spoke with her yesterday on an IM for a little while. We're going to do it again a little bit later. But I do have an interview right after this. I just was informed I have an interview right after this at 1. So it won't be real soon after, Tina. I just want you to know that. Janet Wick says, sounds horrible, but glad you're better now. Yes, we are better now. We are all better. This is Jano. No, I just clicked on the same thing twice. Glad you're feeling better. Yeah. We're doing good. Are you in any pain at all anymore, Hannah?
A little bit when I try to stretch my jaw more so.
They built you a mouth guard so that you.
Yeah, night guard. They think that I'm grinding my teeth in my sleep or something. I know I clench my teeth when I get stressed, but I'm stressed often. So they said that I had a severe TJD.
TJM, joint mandibular. I forget what it stands for. Joint.
Yeah, this is weird because it's going back and forth on. I googled it. It's going back and forth on the internet.
Oh, okay.
TMJ, TJD.
TMJ. Yeah. That's the way I know it, and it may be known as a different name in a different country. John Mark. Just like going on vacation, you really enjoy it, and then it's over with. Yeah.
Yep.
No, you didn't hear what happened on Star Trek Day? Oh, John, well, you just hang in here. We're about to make it happen for you. Thank you, Kris. She was amazing. The tributes are all over TV, as it should be. I'm 67, so she's the only monarch I have ever known. Absolutely. She loved horses and animals, and it is strange to have a king. Jano says, take care of yourselves, my friends. We will do that.
Thank you, Jano.
Yeah, we're all better. All's well that ends well. We like that.
Yep.
Okay, so though for those of you, John, I cannot believe you don't know this. Okay, I'm going to do it in a really official way here. So let me come right down to. I think I have to go to banners to see what I need to see here. No, I'm going to have to go to brand. Okay, I'm going to do this the official way. Here it comes. This is a lock of Dee's hair that I'm sending off to a lab in Canada for Celestis, and they are the group that sends people's DNA off into space. Well, there's going to be an upcoming Enterprise space flight that goes into deep space and forever and ever, and most of the Enterprise crew that has passed on is going to be on it. And I let them know that I had a lock of Dee's hair, and I wondered if they could use that in order to put Dee on the flight too, and they just jumped all over themselves. Oh my gosh, yes, please do that. So that's what's in this envelope, a lock of Dee's hair. It's going to go to the lab, and at some point this is going to be announced and I'll be able to release this. But I just wanted, Dee said many, many years ago when they were asked, the big three of Star Trek were asked if they would ever go into space if they were invited. Shatner and Nimoy both said, no, thank you. And Dee said, in a heartbeat. So this is probably the last thing that I can do for Dee that I know he would absolutely love. So second star to the right and straight on till morning, Dee. You're about to go into deep space eternally. And we love you. There we go. And if you go to my, there's more to this story, which I can probably share here, but you can also go to my blogs and get, a full written story of what happened. But not long after Dee passed away, Carolyn asked me to, before Neptune Society had come to collect him, we were in Carolyn's room, of course, and in Carolyn's hospital room, and she asked me if I would please go over and get a lock of Dee's hair for her. And she said I could get one for myself too. So I went over and got a lock of Dee's hair, never knowing that 25 years later, almost 25 years later, that it would actually make a whole lot of Star Trek fans literally burst into tears to know that he was going to be aboard this very, very special flight. Because without the ship's doctor, without, the big three, it just would not have felt, really complete. I'm wondering also, since they used a lock of Dee's hair, I don't know why they wouldn't use a lock of Shatner's and Takei's and Koenig's hair, because so that they could all of them go up, even though because I think there are some people whose DNA is going up who haven't passed on. But I'm gonna inquire into that, because it would be great to have them all on that flight in one way or another. So that's all the pictures I have of that. I also have some banners. Here is, if you want to read more background, you can go to this https://wordwhisperer.net/my-big-announcement-4-September-8-2022 for those of you who can't read that. And then there's another one. I have two blogs, so I have it put on two different. I had different information on each of the blogs. And this one is rather large. https://yellowballoonpublications.com/media-release-aboard-the-star-trek-enterprise-launch/ yeah. -- And those of you who are enjoying Evernew and haven't been with us from the very beginning, I just got a link. Thank you, Michael Day. I just got a link to older Evernew episodes, and that's here at http://alturl.com/k for little g, little o, little W. And you can go there and see some, and you can see this episode too, I think later today at that same thing, because he keeps adding them to it. Let me tell you a little bit about Celestis, which is the group that is going to be putting the DNA of these people into deep space. They are the group that does memorial flights into they send people to, just orbit the Earth and then come back down into the Earth's orbit, or they send DNA to the moon, or they send DNA. Actually, this is the first time I believe it's going to go beyond the moon. They've had some 28 flights up until now. And G. Gordon Cooper, several astronauts have been launched there, and a lot of notable celebrities have been launched there. And if you want, you can go to this place, this celestis.com, CELESTIS.com, and you can leave a message that will go into space with them. And that's free. You can absolutely do that for free. If you want to include your picture or anything else, it's $19.95 for something additional. But if you want something to go into deep space that will travel forever, and somebody was really cute. They said, "Oh, I know what's going to happen. Some alien species is going to get DNAs and populate an entire planet with DeForest Kelleys." And I went, "That's wonderful. As long as they clone his heart, that will be the best planet in the universe." So yeah, we're having a lot of fun, and it's also really poignant. A lot of people just burst into tears when they heard. So, okay, so let's come up here. No, okay. Genesis, thank you. Oh, wait a minute. I've already done that one. Yeah. Okay, now I think I'm where I'm supposed to be. I've had TMJ, and it's really painful.
It was kind of bad.
Yeah. I was concerned. I was way more concerned about her than I was about me, because I knew what was wrong right away after they told me. That made me sad but happy. Oh, how awesome. Really, if you go to heavy.com, I've been interviewed twice already, and I have one later, and I have two more coming up. So if you Google DeForest Kelley and Celestis, those articles will probably pop up for you. And you can, or if you go to my Facebook page, I have posted the links there for those of you who want to. That's a polar opposite of Dr. McCoy, who hated space. Actually, he just hated having he just hated the transporter beam. I don't think he hated space necessarily. This is wonderful news. I let Tina know yesterday, because as soon as it came out, I started letting people know who I knew. When I watched your video, Cookie Sword, I actually started crying. To know he's going is wonderful. Thank you for making it happen. Thank you I appreciate your appreciation. I can't imagine any other single thing I could have done with that than something like that. I mean, and it was perfect, because we had just interviewed Mark Lee the day you couldn't be with us. I had him on as a co-host, and he mentioned Celestis. And after the show, I said, "Look, I have a lock of deeds here. Do you think?" And he said, oh my gosh. And he helped make it happen too. So thank you, Mark.
I was joking earlier about that. Yeah, not with you, I don't think. But I was thinking to myself, man, and all it took was for me to not be there. I hold D back.
Oh no, we would have had you on with Mark. If you had been available, you would have been on with Mark. Yeah, I know. That's awesome. Yes, that would be a great and good science fiction film, but the mold was broken when D passed. Yes, he certainly was. Yeah, I was just very, very happy to do it. The gentleman who interviewed me for the News Tribune, and that's going to come out next week, and I will send a link on my Facebook page when it does. He interviewed me for like an hour. He gave me 90 minutes to prepare. He said, my photographer and I would like to come out and interview you this afternoon. And I said, okay. And he said, how about 3:00? And it was like 1:30. And I'm like, okay. So I immediately jumped into action and pulled out this big almost like a lunch table, set it up on my sister's front porch because it was the best place to be outside in an undisclosed location so people wouldn't know where I lived and stuff like that. Okay. And I set up the D standee and I set up my Star Trek jacket, my Walk of Fame jacket, and some posters. He said, try to set up something that's big that the photographer can really zoom in on. So I did that with the biggest things I could think of quickly. And then I laid out on the table like 2 of my 10 volumes of DeForest Kelley archival stuff, which you will see in person in a couple of weeks, Hannah.
Yay.
Yeah. And other various photos of Dee and me together. And I put my book out and I put, just whatever I could think of quickly to make it look kind of cool. And when they showed up, it was really funny because I said, okay, there it is. Take off the table what you don't want, because I really didn't know what would, from a reporter's or a photographer's eye, which would be the best. And they just left it all on. They just left it all on and photographed it all. So I don't know if you'll see that when the article comes out, but it will be virtual. There will be a link, so you'll be able to log on when it goes live. And the photographer left pretty quickly thereafter because he had another event to get to. But the reporter stayed on and on for like an hour to get more background information. At first, they just wanted me to do this really quick snippet about how I met Dee and how I went from being a fan on the outermost reaches of fandom to being at his bedside. Well, that took a book. And for me to make that a short story was rather challenging. So we did it like in 3 little segments. And then the Celestis and the lock of hair thing. So I don't know how they're going to pull it together, what that will look like. And but he did take additional background information so that he could write more of the story other than just what was in the clip. So I'm hoping it turns out really well. He seemed very, very interested. He was very engaged. He wasn't just a reporter. Yeah, just the facts, ma'am. Let me out of here. He was really engaged. So I think it'll turn out to be really good.
I wonder if he's a Dee fan.
He wasn't necessarily, and the photographer said he was a next generation fan. These are younger people. These guys are probably in their 40s. I think most of them were mostly next generation fans. But the nice thing is that all you have to do is talk about Dee, and generally they'll look into him later and become one. So, John, 5 years in deep space, God help me. No, forever in deep space. Yeah, that would be a good film, but yeah, okay, there we go. Oh, here we go. Would you consider sending words from you or a pic with Dee? As you said, it could happen if people, yes, I already did. If you go to the celestis.com site, you can also see an article there that mentions my book, and I wrote the biography part of that for Celestis. I curated the biography part of that for Celestis, and some of what I put in the Eternal Message is on there already. So, are there any questions about the flight or anything else? Those of you who have read my book, you already know the story pretty well. I have another surprise to share with you that isn't Dee related. It's critter related. And so here we go. For the since the summer solstice, literally, I think that was June 20th or 21st, a couple of days before the summer solstice, my friend over in Spanaway called me up rather in a panic and said, Kris, I have 2 baby raccoons here whose mother was killed by a car. I have called all the local rehab places and they are inundated with baby raccoons. They cannot take the baby raccoons. And the last place suggested that I have them euthanized. And I said, oh, no, not on your life. She knew I had rehabbed baby raccoons and deer and had a serval and for years and years and years, I have rehabbed, raised, released, and rehabbed for fish and game, actually, in many cases, like the 2 orphan fawns from the Mount St. Helens eruption, So I'm very, very well practiced in it. You have to have a rehabber's license. This is not something you can do without getting into trouble. So anyhow, I want to show you, this is a picture of the little darlings who I named Summer and Solstice because I ended up getting them both on the summer solstice, which was June 20th or 21st. I named them, and wait a minute. Okay. This is a picture of them outside Jesse's window the day before I got them. When she called me, she said, I have caught one of them, and I thought I would only get one. So I got in the vehicle with one carrier, and I headed over there, and I got a call halfway there. She said, Kris, I know where the other one is. It's asleep. I think we can catch it. So I said, okay. I said, I don't have two carriers. And she said, I have a carrier, no problem. So I got over there. She pointed to where the little baby was asleep. And I went over there with like a little fish net or a little butterfly net or whatever you want to call it. Just this little, because he was really little. They only had their front canine teeth at the time. And I just slipped it over the top of him and reached underneath and lifted him up and brought him in. And of course, they were pretty hysterical at first. They were at each other through the, they didn't know what was going on. But they would have died. They were too young to be on, absolutely too young to be on their own. So I brought them home, and for the first 10 days, they were here in my den with me. And this is a picture of them, I think the day or the day after I brought them home. Notice how short their little noses are, because as I proceed through these pictures here, you'll watch them grow. These were little peanut babies that, you could practically fit in one hand. They were just tiny. They were talking to each other, chatting. I was glad I was able to get them both, because that way I could keep them as wild as possible. I never petted them. I only lifted them to be sure they were gaining weight, properly. Never petted them. They will reach out and patty paw you because they're little feeler guys. They want to wash everything and touch everything. So they would reach out and touch me, but I would never touch them back because I want them to be wild. I wanted them to be wild at the end of this little saga. My intention was never to tame them. It was to raise them old enough to where they could be on their own. So this is about, I'll say a month later. You can see their noses are growing. Now they're out in an outdoor hen house, which was 5 times the size of the ferret habitat that was in my house. And they're eating a strawberry here. And then we have same day, they were eating eggs, they were eating grapes, and that was pretty much all they would accept. I mean, I redid my research because I had rehabbed. I had actually raised a raccoon with Deacon when he was a kitten. So, but it had been many, many years, of course. So I researched, what do they like? And I put everything in there that they liked. They wouldn't touch anything. They wanted eggs and they wanted grapes for the longest time. Suddenly, all of a sudden, now they're into cat food and stuff like that. But here is them eating crayfish. I buy them goldfish and live crickets so that they can hunt, so they can learn to hunt, because they're going to have to know how to do that. And a week and a half ago, I released them, okay? And 3 days later, they both came back. I released them in my backyard because there are raccoons in this area, and they are not territorial. They wouldn't have chased them off or bitten them or anything. So I released them in this area, and for 3 days, I didn't see hide or hair of them, and then all of a sudden, they were both back. Oh, this is where I get fed, and they ate very, very well. And Summer and Solstice, I named them Summer and Solstice. I may have mentioned that before. I don't remember. Summer eventually disappeared. As they're getting older, they're 2 boys, and I think they probably separated of their own, accord. Summer was really, really, really bossy and pushy and wouldn't allow Solstice to eat very much. So I don't know if Summer moved away, if something happened to him or what. You take that risk anytime you turn an animal free, that something might get it. But Solstice has been back literally morning and night every single day to eat. And he's getting bigger and bigger. This was taken 2 days ago. And this is him going up into his little hen house to eat some food. And here's a picture of him with my shoe. He loves to play badass raccoon and attack my shoe. So I let him attack my shoe. And now I'm going to go here and I'm going to show you. This is very blurry, but I want to show you what happens when I call Solstice. I say, Solstice, come on, buddy, come get your num-nums. And this is what happens.
Baby, hurry, hurry. Here you come. Come on. Come on. Yeah, that's a good job. You're a good goat herder. You're a good goat herder. Yeah, you are. Up you go. Get some more food.
And this is a very clear video that goes for about 1 minute and 10 seconds. And this is them eating goldfish. So
Let's pull one out. That's exciting. Num, 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 num. Well, they're making short work of it. They're pretty good little fisher guys.
that was Helen Schofield's voice. She recorded that, obviously. Anyhow, that's my other surprise. It has been a joy. It's been years and years since I rehabbed anything, and it's really been a wonderful, wonderful experience for me. And the fact that they keep coming back tells me it's been a pretty good experience for them too. And I'm just glad to give them the opportunity to have a life as a raccoon. So, and Tina or Helen just reminded me, yes, you are going. I forgot to tell you, when after I donated the lock of hair, Celestis invited me to be the speaker at the memorial for Dee at Cape Canaveral the day before the launch. So I'll have an opportunity to spend more than 45 seconds, as I did at the first memorial in 1999, to actually talk more about Dee. And so I've written a speech, which of course went longer than I'm allowed to speak. So I had to cut it down, and I may change it altogether, but at least I have one written, and I'll have an opportunity to say more about Dee than I was able to say the first time. So I will be going there sometime in November or December to Cape Canaveral to watch the launch. It'll be like a 3-day event. The memorial service is in the middle of it on the second day, and it will be streamed live. You guys will be able to watch if you want to, if you stay in touch with the celestis.com. And also you'll be able to, for eternity, go back and watch it if you want to at your leisure. So that I just wanted to let you know, you won't be left out. It will be available to view. I started the original Star Trek series when I was a kid. My mom and me watched it around dinner. John Bowersox is an encyclopedia when it comes to Star Trek and DeForest Kelley both. He's brilliant. He can correct me at times. It's really funny. Anytime you hear me, or if anything I ever say to you now at this age contradicts what I said in my book, believe the book, because I wrote the book shortly after those things happened. And it's amazing how your mind can, change things as you get older, or as your memories, all of a sudden you think, wow, maybe that wasn't quite that way. So if you ever see a discrepancy between what I say and the books are the accurate version. I don't intentionally mislead anybody at any time. But again, my memory is spotty in a lot of those areas. So about how long does it take when it's ready to launch? You know, I'm not sure. I do know that first it's going to send this little pod like thing to the moon, because a lot of the people who want to be remembered wanted to be on the moon so their loved ones could look up at the moon and say, my loved one is up there. Okay. This one, and then whatever vehicle, it's called a Vulcan rocket, which is really cool, and it's an Enterprise flight. This Vulcan rocket will continue to, actually a rocket just gets you up into outer space. Whatever the pod separated one to go to the moon, that will continue on beyond the sun and into deep space, interplanetary, the asteroids, and basically our whole beyond our solar system. The Celestis thing will explain that better. I'm not a scientist, but I'm not sure how long does it take when it is ready to launch. I'm not sure what you mean by that. I do know there will be a very narrow flight time during which they'll say, Kris, get on a plane. They usually have about a 2-week. They say, okay, the atmosphere, the environment is going to be right at Cape Canaveral during these days and hours, and we need to launch then. So, and they know that a couple weeks in advance, and then they'll say, get on the thing, and however long it takes to, prepare the launch from that point and send the thing skyward, I'm really not sure. But there will be like a 2-week period, and you will hear about it. Stay tuned. I will let you know everything that's going on. I'll take my phone along. I'll do what I can to help bring you along with me when it happens. So, yeah, I mean, it's so wonderful to befriend, not to tame, but to befriend a wild animal well enough that they are not afraid of you. And it's a fine line. You don't want to tame them, because then they could wander up to a stranger who might think they're rabid and shoot them. You really want to keep them wild. They are very standoffish with other people. If other people are sitting with me, they sit very, very quietly. And, and I'm usually the only one who talks until they get to know them better, and then start to hear their voice, and then it's okay. But they're very alert to changes, and they're very alert to different people. And like, he's not going to come out of the woods for anybody else. He's just not going to do that. He doesn't know anybody else. And that's exactly the way to do it, is to make sure. Oh, yes. And when you put ice cubes in their water, oh my gosh, they are hysterical. They are absolutely hysterical. I'm like, you're going to freeze your little tooties off there, guys. And they just jump right in there and play and rattle the things and pick them up in their mouth and carry them up above. And they have a wonderful time. Oh, that poor baby in the pet shop who asked you what you wanted to feed. I know. Well, they have feeder fish. That poor lady in the pet shop who asked you what you wanted to feed the goldfish to. Yes. I told her I was sending them out into the pond because I have wildlife, and like that, and I kind of fibbed that to her at one point. They said, what are you feeding? And I didn't want to say. So I said, piranha. And I think that's probably illegal too, to own. And
and what was her response to that?
She just total silence, like, alrighty then. It was pretty funny. My answer was piranha. It's too bad it's not called you green-blooded Vulcan. That's true.
Yes, it should have been.
The final frontier for D, bless his heart. Well, remember, most of his cremated remains were spread off Point Furman, off San Pedro, California, because that's the beach on which Carolyn and Dee courted and dated and spent time with after they were married. So that's where they wanted both of their ashes spread. And I didn't think at the time to ask for any ashes. I didn't even know about these flights. I'm not even sure these flights were in existence back then, because they've only had 27 of them and they usually have a few a year. So this is totally serendipity, the fact that I had this lock of hair and was able to do this. It was nothing was planned this way. It was just, I wanted a lock of hair to prove to myself that stuff really happened. How do you go from being a fan on the outermost reaches of fandom to be at someone's bedside when they die, you know? And that was like my physical, yes, that really happened, you know? Because it's hard to believe after the fact, you know? It's like, how could that happen? That is just so astonishing to me. Yeah. Helen said, I said, next time tell her alligators. Jano says, when I was 5, I trained a chipmunk to eat out of my hand, named him Chippy. Amazing name. I even have a photo that my dad took. One of the days Chippy came out of the woods and I fed him. I still remember him. You can't not. One of my first earliest critters was a little mouse that I kept in a Skippy jar. So I named him Skippy. I've had critters my whole life. I have rehabbed a little baby deer that fell in one of these huge culverts, these irrigation culverts with the cement sides. He had almost worn his front hooves completely off trying to get out of this culvert, and someone had seen him struggling and somehow rescued him and then needed somebody to take care of him. So I took him on and fed him and raised him until his hooves grew back. When Mount St. Helens erupted, I had 2 fawns given to me by Fish and Game, ostensibly to raise them so they could turn them loose and some hunter could go shoot them. But I ended up calling Northwest Trek because they were impossible not to tame. The minute they would see me, I was, beep, beep, beep. You know, here comes the person with the bottles. And they became pretty tame, and I didn't want to turn them loose into the wild. So I called Northwest Trek, and they agreed to take them. And they lived out a safe, healthy life at Northwest Trek. So yeah, I have rehabbed a red-tailed hawk named Lucky that my dad inadvertently rolled over their nest in a hayfield when he was harvesting hay. I rehabbed a couple of those. So I have a good background with Fish and Game rehabbing things. In fact, they said, my gosh, you seem to be able to save things we can't. I've always had a way with animals, always. So let's see. It's me, Helen. We don't have chipmunks, snakes, raccoons, squirrels, or anything exciting, but we do have hedgehogs, which I believe you don't have there. We do not have hedgehogs there, except as pets.
Some people do have them as pets, yeah.
Yes. Nor do we have Ouida, which is a big grasshopper. I'm not kidding you. This grasshopper is like this big in New Zealand. It's an endangered species. And Helen brought me a plastic model of it. It's kind of amazing. John Bowersock says, I remember when I was a kid, we went to the fair. I got a goldfish. It didn't last long. I was really young. I got really upset. So I got donuts. Yes.
Donuts will fix many things.
Yes, they will. Yes, they will. Yeah. So those are my 2 big secrets or surprises with you. Is there anything anybody wants to ask, or I want to see who all's here. Everybody's on NDB Media who is watching today, which is very cool because sometimes we get people on my Facebook page and I can't see your comments. So everybody's learning the ropes here. That's awesome. Oh, did I? My mind's playing tricks on me. I told you this. Oh, and Helen says for Hannah, you will love Northwest Trek. You want to go to Northwest Trek, don't you, Hannah?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Okay. I don't remember if I did this or not. If I did it, just laugh because that's the way it is. Links to older, ever new episodes? Yeah. I remember actually reading off that thing. Oh, and another thing. While Helen was here, she made me cook. I'm not a cook. I'm not a baker. I don't mean she made me cook at all, even the whole time she was here. I mean, she said, you're going to bake a pavlova. And I went, what is a pavlova? And she says, I will show you. And we made a pavlova. She keeps saying, I made the pavlova. Yes, I did. I separated, no, that's not true. Helen separated the yolks from the eggs, put them in a dish and said, here, get a mixer and blend and mix these up. Well, I mixed those things for 25 or 30 minutes because I have a little, practically a kid's mixer. And I beat it and beat it and beat it. And finally it started doing something. It started actually foaming up into this beautiful, beautiful white thing. And she added in some sugar, a cup of sugar. It was 4 eggs, a cup of sugar. And anyhow, I'm going to give you a recipe at the end if you want to try this. And then Cool Whip on top and whatever kind of fruit you want to put on top. Of course, we put Australian fruit and strawberries on top because that's what you do. But let's see, I'm going to go to banners because I want to show you it is such a awesome dessert. This recipe will make enough food for an army though. So if you're going to build it, plan to have a big party like Thanksgiving or Christmas. The pavlova recipe URL is short URL, short_URL.@/a_h P R 8. That's the one Helen sent me. She said that's a good recipe. But again, if you want to just make it for 3 or 4 people, cut down the amount. We used 4 eggs, as I said, 4 egg whites and a cup of sugar for the one we made. And it was adequate for our needs. So it's wonderful. It's as good as it looks. No, it's even better than it looks. So let's go back to comments. Oh, Chrissy is here. From Austria, right? Sorry, I wasn't able to come in. You can catch it later. Chrissy. Yeah. It's almost as soon as it ends, you can see it again. I saw the original Star Trek movie. I saw the original Star Trek movies coming to 4K with a lot of additional material never released before. I don't know the date. Whoa, that's awesome. Because I know there were incidents between McCoy and other cast members that didn't make it to the final film. So hopefully McCoy will be in there more. Jano says our neighbors helped an albino deer back to health when they found her in the woods after being shot. After they let her back into the woods, they just called dearie and she come to them. One year she came out of the woods followed by 2 fawn. That was the last time we saw her. We fed her. I fed her many, many times. Looks yummy. Yeah, it is yummy. Austrian fruit. I mean, I'm sorry. Oh, New Zealand fruit. I'm sorry. I told you my brain is not quite online there. We use golden kiwis because she doesn't like the green on that. So get a golden kiwi. And then we got a right from Chrissy, but I don't know what a right was about.
Probably that she can watch later.
Okay. The 4K and Blu-ray movie was released on September 6th. Okay, they should have waited 2 days and made it a Star Trek special thing, but that's okay. Oh, I also want to mention that Dee and Carolyn's anniversary was September 7th, the day before Star Trek Day. Yeah. Well, we are almost an hour into this, and so far so good, right? Do you have any more stuff? Oh, did you want to talk about some of your joyride?
So a couple weeks ago, my sister Abby and a couple friends and I went up to Ocean City, New Jersey for a few days. And for Abby and I, that was our first beach day. We had so much fun. We were in the ocean for about 4 hours.
Whoa.
Yeah, came back, did all the rides, got very sunburned, but it was worth it.
Oh, question. Do you want to see the Pacific Ocean while you're here? Since you've seen
Sure.
Okay, that can be one of our day trips too.
Cool.
Because it's very different. When I went to the East Coast and walked out, it was like the shells come on. I don't know about up in New Jersey, but down in the South End, the shells come on. The Atlantic Ocean is so peaceable in places that the shells come on opened up, not beat all to heck, you know. I mean, I was like, wow, this is amazing. Because on the Pacific Coast, I mean, tree trunks come on, and most, unless it's a sand dollar, an awful lot of the shells are beat pretty badly when they come on. I mean, seaweed.
Same in Jersey.
Huh?
Same in Jersey. The shells are still all broken, and
yeah. So you'll probably see a difference. I don't know. Do you get big, huge logs in up there?
No.
Okay, that could happen because we have a timber industry up here, and yeah, I don't know. I know a lot of times they'll float the logs down a river to a location, and some of them might get beyond and into the ocean and then push down on shore. I don't know. I mean, it's pretty amazing. It's beautiful. It's beautiful, but it looks like, you know, the ocean is rough.
Yeah.
And it looks dangerous, especially on a stormy course on the East Coast.
Oh, yeah.
Stormy, yeah. Anyhow, if you want to do that, that can be one of our day trips because that's just like 2 hours out.
That sounds great.
So we'll talk about that. I think I'm pretty much finished. Do you have anything else you wanted to?
Not really.
Okay. Kris, okay, Helen's saying, Kris, do update us if you find out anything more about DNA from the surviving actors is to be included in the fight. I'm gonna inquire. I think that would be really only legitimate to have the whole gang. I mean, the captain and the navigators. I mean, hello, yeah, we got to have the whole thing, in my opinion. We'll see if they. I mean, yeah, the actors also have to agree to that. They may not want to do that. So yeah, but I will bring it up because I've been thinking about that. I want the whole crew aboard, not just those who have passed. I really do. Okay, I guess we'll call it a day, and I hope everybody enjoyed this. I hope you will share this with your Star Trek friends who are DeForest Kelley fans, because apparently, if John hadn't heard it, a lot of people haven't heard it. Because John is on top of his game when it comes to stuff like that, and it's a big deal. People are really, really flipping over it. So I will thank you again for watching. Please share this for those of you who will tune in later and see it late. Welcome, welcome, and we'll do it again in 2 weeks at 10:30, and in 4 weeks. Hannah's going to be here and we will do one live together. So that's going to be fun. So
that's going to be awesome.
Yeah. So take care. I'll end the broadcast and you'll hang in for a minute, Hannah. Okay.
Yep.
All righty. Love you, everybody. Thank you for spending your Saturday with us. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.